Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today it's time for me to take a look ahead to what I'm planning to read in September. I've finished my commitments to SPFBO 8 now, so my choice is a little bit more my own, which means I will be returning to more of the MBR rather than the TBR, so there might be read where I will list a series of books that I might choose my reading from, rather than the more rigid to be read or TBR list. So let's go and see what I've got in store. So although I'm not reading for SPFBO 8 anymore, I do still have some commitments, so I'm going to start off with those. There are two commitments that I have every month, and then occasionally I'll get additional buddy reads on top of these as well. But those two are my Patron buddy read, and also I do a TBR pick, where one of my patrons picks a book off my list for me to read and review that month. And this month I've gone slightly different on both of those. So first of all, for the buddy read, one of the titles that was up for selection in my buddy read poll for August is actually turned into a buddy read for my Discord rather than specifically just the Patron part of it. And I'm going to be reading this one with the group. So this is book one in the Star Children saga by Palmer Pickering, and it's called Moon Deeds. This is a science fantasy. It was in SPFBO a couple of years back, maybe last year, I'm not sure which year exactly it was, but because this one has science fiction elements as well, it's been entered into the sister competition of SPFBO this year, which is for science fiction titles. So I'm interested to see how this one goes. I know there's a couple of people in my Discord who've already read this one. Chad, I think, really enjoyed in particular the second book, Light Fighters, and it's one of his favourite, if not his favourite book of the year so far. It's a pretty chunky book, but I'm looking forward to getting into it and seeing what this one's like. And then for my Patron TBR pick this month, instead of what I normally do, which is again picking a few titles and having a vote where everyone gets their say on which one of those I read, this month I ran a wheel of names and picked one of my patrons out to select a book from my overall list. I don't know how many titles are on it, 30 or 40 maybe, that are in my unread list, either on the shelves around me or on my Kindle. And the patron who had that choosing power this month was LL McRae, and she selected a sci-fi title for me called Last Gifts of the Universe by Rory August. Now this is one I've had my eye on for a little while, and Rory August did actually showcase the book, as did Palmer Pickering for Moon Deeds, in one of my Indie Author Showcase videos, so I'll link those in the cards for those two books. But this one is quite short, it's less than 300 pages I believe, and it's about the last civilization in the universe. There is some entity that has been destroying civilizations, and the last surviving civilization finds a message, finds some artifacts telling the story basically of those previous destructions, and if they can get that message back, those artifacts back to their homeworld, they can potentially defend themselves from a similar destruction. Now I've heard that, I think it's Pumpkin steals the show in this. This is a cat in a spacesuit if I'm not mistaken, so it's definitely more of a light-hearted read, and I'm looking forward to trying this one out. I then also have an ARC, an advanced review copy that I picked up through Netgalley, and this one's kind of cheating a little bit because it's not actually advanced. I saw Sons of Darkness by Gaurav Mohanty on Netgalley just before it was released in June, and I thought, this is a title that I really want to read. I've seen some good things about it, and I love that cover. I think it is really stunning. So I picked it up knowing that I wasn't going to be able to read it, but it was about to be archived on Netgalley, which means that you can no longer request it. But if you've already requested it and been accepted to read it, you can still submit your review for it once you have read it. So I thought I'll take the opportunity at the time, requested it, was accepted, and it's just been sitting on my Kindle whilst I was reading the SPFBO titles, and in September I'm going to give this one a shot. So this one is quite long, it's about 800 pages. I've heard some really good things from people who've read it now, including author Sienna Frost, who's been uploading snippets to Twitter as she's going through reading this, saying it's an absolutely beautifully written book. Now this one is one which I do not know the story of whatsoever. I'm going into it really blind. It's noted as being the first Indian epic grimdark fantasy, and it's inspired by the ancient Indian epic the Mahabharata, which I do not know anything about. I don't know what the story is, I don't know therefore what to expect from this one, and of course it's not a retelling as such, it's inspired by, so it's going to be different to the epic anyway. So again, I'm really interested to see how this one turns out, and we'll see what happens when I come to review it, either in a dedicated review or in my end of month wrap up, as I try to get my tongue around all of the names in it. So those are some of the commitment reads I've given myself. After that, I've been going through, because I'm getting towards the end of the year. There's only a few months left now to finish off my reading plans, and I went through the list of titles that I've still got to read if I want to achieve all of those goals. And one of the titles that I've selected to read was from my 10 self-published books that I want to read in 2022. And I've chosen this one as kind of a two-parter because, first of all, before its upcoming release, I'm not sure what the date is, but I'm looking to read The Battle That Was Lost by Michael S. Jackson. This one is just a short novella, but I'm looking forward to it as a prequel to Ringlander, The Path and the Way. So this is one that's been sitting on my shelf for a little while. I bought this because it's an absolutely beautiful book, both inside and out, and I'm looking forward to getting into this world and seeing what it's all about. So I'm going to be reading Ringlander and the prequel novella as another of my picks for September. So then we go into my MBR pot, the kind of might be read section of my reading list, and another of the goals I had was to finish or to continue, depending on where I was, a certain series, and one of those that I might be reading next month is We Lie With Death, which is the second book in the Reborn Empire by Devin Madsen. I really enjoyed We Ride the Storm, the first book in this series, and I just haven't got round to continuing with it. There are 3 books out so far and I've got them all on my shelf. There's a 4th book coming out. I think it might have been bumped. It was supposed to be December. It might be something like March 2023 now, but I'm looking forward to getting back to this one because I had a really good time with We Ride the Storm and I want to see where the story goes from here. And then in my quest to finish some series for this year as well, I've got another 2 books in my MBR pot. One of those is Assassin's Quest by Robin Hobb. This is book 3 of the Farseer trilogy, starting off Realm of the Elderlings. This one is a big chunky one, and it's not necessarily because it's so long, but I'm not massively enthused about this one because the first 2 books in the series I did enjoy, but it took me quite a while to get into them. I found with both of them that there was a lot of not a lot happening for me, and then all the action kicked in the last sort of 10, 15, maybe 20%. I know these are primarily character-driven story, and although I do like that, I do need something to be happening with the plot as well. And I've heard that this one might be a bit slow going, a bit too much of the old travelling and not a lot happening, so we'll see how it goes, but it's not one that I'm massively motivated for, other than I want to finish it. I want to see how the series finishes, see whether I like it, see whether I want to carry on, and obviously just to get that tick in the box for another series finished. The next one that I have is by Joe Abercrombie, and this is The Heroes, which is the second of the 3 standalone books in his first lore world. And again, I didn't have the best of times with Best Served Cold, the first of these standalones, but they are standalones, so it's different story, different characters, different plot, and I'm hoping that's going to work out well for me, because a lot of people really rate The Heroes and the third book, Red Country, so I am looking forward to getting into these and ticking them off the list. But those are 3 of the titles that I'm considering in my MBR pot, and we'll see where the mood takes me, and we'll see how much time I've got when I come to make a selection from this little pot. So those are my initial plans for my September reading. Let me know in the comments down below what you're looking forward to reading next month, and also if you've read any of the titles that I've got coming up for me, let me know your thoughts on them. Whilst you're down there, don't forget to give the video a thumbs up, hit subscribe if you haven't already and you want to see future content from me. In the box below this video you'll also find, as usual, all of my social media links and support the channel links, including my book club Discord and my Patreon. Do come along and join the conversation if you want to, we'd love to have you involved. I hope to catch you in the next video sometime soon, but until then, as always, take care of yourselves, read some good books. Bye for now.